Hi everyone, welcome to our mock data entry assignment tutorial. This is a hypothetical data set. Here are our different variables, and down here on the second page would be the different data that we're going to enter. So the first thing I'm going to want you to do is have this assignment nearby and open up SPSS. Now this recording is done on a Mac, which is my computer, so yours will look a little bit different if you're doing it on a PC. And you'll probably just have an icon on the desktop that'll allow you to open up your SPSS. But when it opens, it should look like this. And that gives you a window to open up different data files. But for our purposes, we're going to be typing in new data. So hit OK. And here we have our different windows. And when it opens up, it'll open up in the data view. And across the top are our different variables. The data view displays the data that you enter. Each row is a different case as I'm going down here, and each column is a variable. But we haven't defined our variables yet, so we have to switch over to variable view. On a Mac, this is in the center. This switch column on a PC, it'll be over on the left. Right down here, because we're in the variable view, are the different variables we can define. Across the top are the different attributes of that variable. Most of them will be set to the default setting, with the exception of variable label and variable values, which we'll get to defining. So I'm going to move this over so we can see our different variables that we have to define. Make sure you are again in the variable view window to do this. So the first variable we are going to define is gender. So type that there in the name box. If you hit tab, all the default values will come up. This is nominal level data, our gender. So we could make it a string variable and define it as words. I'm just showing you right here. You can also make it date. But we won't be doing that. For our purposes, we will be assigning numeric variables to all of our values. So to be able to define that, under variable label, we're going to just type in a description of the variable, which is the same thing that we called it in SPSS, which is gender. Now to define the categories of our variable, we'll go under the value labels. So as you can see, I've assigned number 1 for male, and then hit add. Number 2 will be female. Hit add, and after you've defined those two, hit OK. We have no more to do, so you hit OK. So now let's go down to our second variable, which is ethnic, and type that in there. So we'll call that ethnicity. We have to define values here as well. So we will call number 1 Caucasian. Add that. Number 2, call African American. Add that. Value 3, we'll call Hispanic. Add that. And then we will make another category, value 4, which will be other. Add that. All those are defined, so hit OK. As you can see right there, that's our 4 categories. So now number 3 is age. We hit tab, all the default values come up. We'll just have to define the label, the variable label, which is age, which is description of the variable. But here under the values, we don't have to do anything because age is age. It's an interval level data. So for here, this one is called trauma, and that is numerical as well. And we're going to define that right here, number of traumas in our fictional data set. So for residents in this treatment center, how many traumas have they experienced? Number 5, we're going to our variable name is going to be group. To define that further, we'll call that treatment group. What kind of treatment group were they, in this case, fictionally randomly assigned to? So we will say value number 1, which would be new treatment group. We'll just say new treatment and add that. And 2, which would be routine treatment. And we will add that. So those 2 are defined, and hit OK. And it appears up there, as you can see, we have 2 categories to put people in, or put these youngsters in. Variable number 6 that we're going to be defining are our pre-test scores. Now I'm going to take a minute to show you what SPSS doesn't like when you name variables. And what they didn't like is that I put a space in there, pre-space test. So they'll tell you if they don't like it. So this has got to be one word, pre-test. Okay, again, this is a numeric variable. So we don't have to assign values, but let's call it something so that when it comes out as output, we know what it is. And this would be pre-test score on the trauma symptom scale. This way we define it a little bit better than just the word pre-test. So let's see something else that SPSS doesn't like. We're going to call this to-test and then try and hit tab. SPSS doesn't like that either. We can't start a variable name with a number. It has to start with a letter. So we'll call this post-test. And that'll make SPSS happy. And again, we're not going to have to put a value to it, but we can put a label, and that will be post-test score on trauma symptom scale. So now we have our 7 different variables. And if you switch on over to data view, you'll see that they appear across the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we're ready to enter some data. Good to take this moment to start saving it. So what I want you guys to do, I'm going to save it on my flash drive, which you guys should as well because you'll be using computers that aren't your own. So what I'm going to ask you to do is call your file name, your last name, and then data entry assignment, and then save it. And it saves like any other document. When that happens, this is going to come up, and this is our output window. And this is where all of our analyses will happen. But for now, just shrink it down. We don't need it right now. We'll use it at another time. So you can go on down to the data that I have here for you, and let's start entering our data. So on our first case, let's look. Gender is defined as a 1, which is male. So you put in 1. If you hit tab, it automatically comes up as male. If this doesn't happen, that means that it isn't set to value labels. You can uncheck that and it'll come up as 1. I prefer to just leave it that I enter 1 and it comes up as male, so I'll check the value labels again. But you can do whatever you want. Then right here, we are going to enter our second variable, which was 1 for Caucasian, and then age, 7, trauma, the number of traumas, which was 1, group, which was also 1, and see when we enter it, it'll come up as new treatment. And then this would be our pre-test score. And finally, we can enter now our post-test score. Okay. So that's our first line of data entry. I'll do one more, and then you're going to do the rest of the 25, and that's going to be your data entry assignment. What I do sometimes is I highlight the line I'm working on, just so I know where I am and I'm not looking in other places. You can do the same if you want. So our second line, gender, 2, tab it over, and it'll come up as female. Ethnicity, 1, Caucasian. put in the child's age, number of traumas, group. This one's 2, so it'll come up routine treatment. And then finally our pre-test score and our post-test score. Okay, so I'm only doing 2 here. You're going to have to do all 25 of this different data set, as you can see right there. And that's going to be your first data entry assignment. What I'm going to want you to do now is, obviously you've saved this assignment, so save it again. Save it a lot so you don't lose it. And then I'm going to want you, when all 25 are done, to save it. And then here's how you're going to email it to me. Find it on your flash drive. As you can see, I have it right here. And it'll load right up. And then put in the subject line your last name and data entry assignment, so I know exactly what it is. And then after that's done, if you do it all right, you'll get your 5% of your grade. So send it off to me when you're done, okay? Thanks everyone. Take care. Good luck. Any questions, give me an email. Take care.